Welcome to Module 2, where we discuss the symbols, rituals, and ceremonies associated with the Winter Olympics. This content is useful because as we watch the opening ceremonies on Friday, February 7, we will see all of these features of the Olympics in place. And we'll have the opportunity to engage and explore these use of symbols through Twitter and through social media. So, looking at symbols, there are many parts of the Olympics that we regularly see, and each has a history and a role, some recent and some historic, but they all play a part in the presentation of the Olympics. Perhaps the most obvious and ubiquitous feature of the Olympics is the 5 Olympic rings. The 5 rings, which you can see in this image, are commonly seen and recognized without any text at all. We know them as the Olympic rings. It was designed by Pierre de Coubertin, who founded the IOC, and he in fact held the original copyright on the Olympic rings. The rings are designed to represent 5 continents. And the question is, what 5 continents are they representing? How does the world get captured in 5 continents? It's a question for you to understand and find out shortly. The rings include a color of every flag in the world as they existed at the turn of the century. They also were an early feature of the Olympics, being used for the Antwerp Games in 1920. As you can see in the second image, the rings are often used, in this case in venues in London, to prepare the city for the coming Olympic events. One place that the Olympic rings are frequently used is on the Olympic flag. And this again was first used in the 1920 Antwerp Summer Games. The Olympic flag has a white background with the 5 rings centered on the flag. Interestingly, the first flag featuring the Olympic rings was stolen at the 1920 Olympics, and it was not returned until 1997. It was taken as a prank by an American Olympic diver, Harry Priest, and not returned for 77 years, but it now resides with the IOC once again. Another common symbol or element of the Olympics is the Olympic motto, Citius Altius Fortius, which is swifter, higher, stronger, commonly capturing the goals of all athletes in the Olympics. Sochi also has its own motto, Hot, Cool, Yours, which it is using as part of its marketing campaign, using the Olympics to raise awareness of Sochi as a destination and city. The Sochi logo is distinctive in that it is the first time that a URL has been used as an Olympic symbol. So Sochi2014.ru, the .ru being the domain name for Russia, is a first in that we've not seen before the use of a domain name so completely and definitively to identify a place. As you can see on this image of advertising for Sochi, it combines the domain name for the Olympics, the Olympic rings, and a very dramatic image of the mountains and sea. And this is part of the long-term branding strategy of Sochi as a resort, both summer and winter, connecting the Black Sea with the mountains behind and the role it plays as a host for the Olympics. Another feature that is common in the Olympics is a set of logos designed to show what each sport is. With hundreds of languages spoken by participants, the simplicity of a simple symbol to capture the meaning of a sport is commonly used, and it started with the Tokyo Olympics over 50 years ago. As you can see from this image, there are many different ways of capturing abstractly what each sport means. So it's possible to navigate the sports without really having to speak another language. It is fairly obvious what each sport is. The torch relay is a popular and common feature of the Olympic Games. This is when a torch, usually lit at the home of the Olympics in Greece, is carried through the host country in celebration of the Olympics and as a way to connect the residents of a country with the event that it is hosting. While it looks like an ancient tradition, it is in fact fairly modern. The torch relay was first used at the 1936 Berlin Olympics. It was an opportunity to broaden the appeal of the Olympics across the countries it crossed, but it was also used politically by the Nazis as a way of connecting German politics to Greece as a symbol of Western civilization. The torch relay was popular after that and has become a featured element of all Olympics. The torch is increasingly seen as a spectacular feature where countries try to find inaccessible places and spectacular ways of carrying the flame. The flame is shown in some of these images that you see. First, in preparation to be launched into space as part of the Soyuz Expedition 38 in 2013. A second image will show the torch being carried with caribou in northern Russia, and the final image of the torch carried across water. The torch has been into space, it's been to the depths of the ocean, it's been to Mount Everest. It was carried underwater on the Great Barrier Reef as part of the Sydney Olympics. So the torch is seen as a way of bringing the Olympic spirit to many different places. Usually, the torch is the featured opening of the Olympics, the time that everyone waits for the lighting of the cauldron to indicate that the Olympic Games have started. The torch burns throughout the period of the Olympics and is extinguished as the Games end. The torch has many backup features. There are multiple versions of the torch. There are 4 emergency torches that are carried with it. The torches have their own fuel supply and they're constructed to withstand the elements and to remain lit. That said, there are often problems and accidents that happen with torch relays. The flame goes out and it has to be relit from an emergency source. We've had incidents of runners catching fire, of torches being lost, but generally it is a popular and spectacular feature of the Olympic Games. In the past, torch relays have crossed many parts of the world, but with the 2008 torch relay, where China took the torch all over the world, it was frequently accompanied by protests and demonstrations. So rather than carry the spirit of the Olympics, the torch became a moving target for political demonstrations. Since that time, the torch has been reserved for domestic use. So for the Vancouver Olympics, the London Olympics, and now Sochi, the torch is used to connect the domestic audience to the event, and it is not used as an international feature. The Sochi torch relay lasts 123 days and uses 14,000 runners covering 65,000 kilometers. It's said that 90% of the population of Russia lives within close proximity to the path of the torch. The torch has been wending its way through Russia and will make its grand appearance with the opening ceremonies on February 7. Which brings us to the opening ceremonies. This is an opportunity to obtain a global television and spectator audience, numbering the billions of people, who can appreciate the host country. So what we do as keen observers is analyze how the host is presenting itself. The Olympics is a showcase, and the opening ceremony is perhaps the most important showcase of all. So we need to look at what the host country presents, how it shows itself, the type of entertainment, the form of entertainment, the themes and messages that are being portrayed as part of the Olympics. These can wash over us, but we can also think deeply about the meaning and significance. What are the messages that Russia and Sochi are trying to send to us, and how do we interpret those messages? As part of the opening ceremonies, there are a number of features. One is the parade of athletes. As the athletes walk into the stadium, there is a clear protocol for how they proceed. The first country is always Greece, as the home of the ancient Olympics, and the last country is always the host. In addition, the order of countries is based on the alphabet of the host countries. So in the case of Sochi, countries will enter based upon their name as determined by the Cyrillic alphabet, what it is in the Russian language. So the order of countries will be different for many of us than what we expect, because it is in fact ordered by the Cyrillic alphabet. As the host is investing heavily in its opening ceremonies, we look forward to the opportunity to join with you, to use Twitter and social media, and to connect with us as we watch the opening ceremonies. We will be sending out messages, comments live during the opening ceremonies, and we wish you'd join us as well by providing us your insights, your interpretations of what your country is doing for the Sochi Olympics, how you think your country looks as it marches into the stadium. So the next element is to join live the entire classroom as we connect in our course globally for watching the opening ceremonies of the Sochi Olympics. As someone with a background and a great love of geography, I think it's worth taking a moment to think about how geographic elements shape the Olympics. And in particular, for the United States market, the way the broadcasts of the Olympics are presented. One of the challenges to broadcasting is the timing of Olympic events, because clearly not everyone on the planet will be awake at the same time to see the same event. This means that live broadcasts for many parts of the world will be starting in the middle of the night or ending at odd hours that make it difficult for viewers to watch. Then again, there's something compelling about being able to watch a live event with the rest of the world at the same time. For the opening ceremonies, most countries in the world will receive a live feed that starts at 2014 or 8:14 p.m. Sochi time. This is Friday morning in the United States, but the United States is not broadcasting the opening ceremonies live. It will be packaged and presented later in the day as evening primetime broadcasting content. So for many Americans, it will not be possible to watch the opening ceremonies live. For the opening ceremonies in this course, we will be tweeting during both the live event at 8:14 p.m. Sochi time, as well as the United States version at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So in both of these periods, we will be tweeting and providing commentary in social media. One thing we will be looking out for is how the live presentation of the opening ceremonies is different from the primetime evening presentation, to see what audiences expect and to see what broadcasters feel is most appropriate or of interest to the United States audience. So this is just one element of geography, but I think it's an important one to remember that we live on a planet with different time zones, and the Olympics may require some of us to be up at strange hours. But for me, it's a small price to pay to share in a global event.